Just had a conversation with a patient who was talking about in the beginning of her care, she had thought about quitting about 3 weeks into the care. And she came in initially with migraine headaches, which is what brought her in. She had a pretty extensive story of a lot of stress, emotional things that had happened to her in life, and just a whole array of things that just amounted to a ton of stress. And she's been under care for about 8 months now, and she started to cry today just talking about how her life has changed and how these changes would not have happened if she quit. And 2 to 3 weeks into the process, she said she felt worse than she did before she started. And her and I had the conversation of this process called retracing. Retracing is when the body, when you start opening up the nerve channels, particularly the atlas and over 450 million nerve fibers, the body can start to feel more. The body starts to perceive and see more and deal with the environment. And sometimes that healing process is not a pretty one. You know, sometimes people get really nauseous, they throw up, they get lightheaded, they're tired, they just don't feel well. And their symptoms amount to more than what they started with. And her and I had one conversation and during this beginning process, and I told her it's like walking into the middle of the forest and you don't know how deep you're going to go, so you turn around and start walking out and you start coming across some of the old things that you came through in the beginning. And she said it just the word the process and what was happening to the body, and it resonated with her that the body is now healing at a higher level. She's got more nerve flow, more nerve channels opening up, and she's essentially starting to feel more. And her whole perception of health is really how she felt, and she realized that that was a lie. You know, it's not necessarily on how we feel, but how we heal. So her retracing process was, you know, she went from having 3 migraines a week to about 7 migraines a week, you know, for about a week or two. And when we looked back on how many times her atlas was actually adjusted in the beginning, it was twice in the first month of care, which means she was holding her adjustment pretty good. We weren't doing anything, but her body was doing a lot. Her body was opening up and it was healing. And one of the things I brought up to her at the time too, you know, it's like if I walked into your house and the lights have been off for 40 years and I walk in and turn all the power on, all the switches, and now you look in all the rooms of your house, what are they going to look like? After you've been living there in the dark for 40 years, there's going to be cobwebs, there's going to be bugs, there'll probably be dead rodents in the corner. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a mess. And now we have to go in and clean up. We got a clean house. And she said that visual really helped resonate with her, her body going through every cell, tissue, organ of her body to heal. And the person she was now, 8, 9 months later, is a completely different human being that she had felt in her entire life. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, she's healed, she's doing better. And when she looks back, it only took 9 months to be a whole different person, where she felt like it was going to be an eternity. But ultimately what it came down to is, what if I quit? And I said, the beauty is you didn't. You didn't quit. And I said, well, what kept you going? And she said it was your level of certainty and me understanding what this retracing thing was, what the healing process was, and that healing took time. So when patients come into our office, they need to understand that everybody heals differently, and you'll hear miracles that, you know, people, you know, they'd never have another headache or migraine after one adjustment, or sometimes people get worse in the beginning. Some people may throw up, they're on medications, whatever it is, their body has to adapt and heal, but you just can't quit on yourself. Let the body take its time to heal. We'll try to make it as comfortable as possible. And no, 6 months down the road, you're going to wake up and be a totally different person. So healing takes time, and let's keep that atlas clear.